Just waiting for a little for more parents to join in. How are you? How are you? Okay.
Where is that now? Are you wearing the sandal?
Okay, so we just wait a little bit, maybe for another 5 minutes, and then we can start. It's 6:05. I mean, sorry, it's 7:05 now. So we may wait for another 5 minutes and we can start this conversation. They are the goons. You seem to be the only ones here. I don't know what's going on. I know certainly 5 people registered, but I don't know what's going on. Let's just wait a little more. I think by 7:30, we might have to. I might have to just end it if other people don't join. Good evening, Mr. Rico. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, cái này vậy level.
I think we just start. We seem to, in the usual Nigerian way, we've not had enough people coming. I was actually thinking that by 7:30 that we will end the program if no one comes. But I know by Nigerian way of doing things, sometimes people don't even join till 45 minutes, 30 minutes after. So I said, well, I'll wait till 7:30. But in other words, I mean, if, like I always say, if it's only one person, two persons left, I will then continue. So I think maybe in another 4 minutes, that's 7:25. We can actually start, and anyone who joins afterwards joins, and we'll continue with them. Certainly, we need to start latest by 25 or 6:30. By 6:30 at the latest. Good evening, Mr. Rico.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening. How are we?
Fine. I was just wondering. I said maybe it's an odd hour for parents in Nigeria this time because some schools start in some states. I think some other people are joining now. Like I said, Nigerians, we join around 30 minutes after. School starts on Monday, and I was just wondering that probably that's why we're not having enough participants. Probably they are busy getting the children ready for school. I know some of the schools in Lagos resumed this week, but most schools are resuming on Monday. So I think let's just wait for another, like I said, by 7:30, we will start because I think more people are joining now. Yeah. So welcome everybody once again to this program. Bullying is not an option, the parents' participation. It's going to be more of discussion among parents. I'm going to stick to the program itself, which is the definition of bullying, and also how we can help the bullies, how we can help the bullied who are the how we can reform the bullies, and how we can help the bullied who are the victims. Most people think that the act of bullying or incidents of bullying, that it's only the bullied who are the victims that are affected. But no, the bullies themselves, they lose out in relationships when they grow up. Some of them even lose out in workplaces because they're going to be in the attitude of bullying and harassing everybody. Some of them end up in jail, some in crimes, and of course, invariably in jail. Some of them, because they don't have empathy, they lack empathy. That's the key factor with bullies. They lack empathy, and because they lack empathy, they could do anything. They can get themselves in court and all that. So they need to be helped. It's not a show of strength, as some people think it is in some parts of the world, that when you bully other people, it shows that you're strong and all that. We're going to look into that, and we're going to really understand what bullying is about. We're going to understand how to help the bullies. They need help. I was in a school some time ago, and the principal of the school told me that when students bully, that they make them to wear a coat, a reflective coat that says, "I'm a bully." And for me, I told him, I said, no, you shouldn't do that. Because what you're doing invariably is that you're turning. Yeah. No, I've muted. Yeah, he's been muted. So what we are doing invariably is that we're turning that bully to a victim as well. By the time we get to know the definition of bullying, we will know how to address bullying incidents. So if there's a bully who has been established to be a bully in school, bullied another person, we are not supposed to make that child wear a reflective coat that has at the back, I'm a bully. We're invariably making that child also become a victim by the definition of bullying. So I think I'll just catch right. Okay, I still have 4 minutes, but let me just take us through all these stories, and maybe it will actually help us. Another thing is that from my participation and discussion with students, going to schools and all that, having workshops with them, I realized that most of these children don't even know that what they are doing is bullying. Some of them just take it as one of those things, probably because of their background. And that is why we really, really, really need to talk to parents. I mean, I always tell people, whatever type of bully, category of bully a child falls into, most of them sorry, I need to, please, can you mute at Ayo Adigun? I need to get you to mute, or I mute you. Okay. So, I mean, whatever be, if a child is a reactive bully, that is suffering from something and insecurity and all that, and the child is trying to get on another person, it's still homegrown, because we can help that child from home. If the child is the type that is underachieving child in school, and it's feeling insecure, and as such want to get his or her insecurity on another person, it's still the duty of the parents to help that child. Yes, schools too will help the child, but I mean, parents need to do a lot of counseling. So in bullying, a lot of counseling needs to be done. I mean, like I was talking about the child who was made to wear the reflective coat after bullying another child, and then it's written at the back of that coat, I'm a bully. We don't encourage such. We rather encourage that schools have their processes and procedures in place. This pack, we have them. I mean, what do we mean by processes and procedure? What we mean is that when there is an act of bullying,
I forgot. We'll have called the person that.
When there is an act of bullying, the child is, both of them should be called separately. They should be interviewed. There should be a pathway to report this, and invariably the aim is to help the bully and also empower the bullied. So such things do not happen. Again, I always talk about what actually made me to become an anti-bullying advocate. The last child of the family was in the boarding house. They were actually two in the same school. And I called in on a Monday, because I would call like 3 times a week. So I called in on Monday just to know how the weekend went and all that. And he started crying. It was like, I don't want this school again. Somebody, I mean, the senior was even in the next class. He was in JS1. The senior was in JS2. One of the seniors called him and gave him 7 strokes of cane. I was like, what did you do that you got 7 strokes of cane? He said nothing, because they just relocated to Nigeria at that time. And the senior was actually giving him the stroke of, at every stroke of cane, he would say something. The first stroke of cane, why are you dark? The second stroke of cane, why are you dark? No, the first stroke of cane, why are you dark? The second one, why are you speaking like Oyibo? The third one, why are you this big, this fat? Because it was chubby at that time. And it went on and on like that for 7 strokes of cane. I was very, very upset. Immediately I had that, because I was one that called the school. So I called their dad and I was like, this is what happened in school. And the baby of the family it was really, really crying. So, men the way they are, it was like, you're not the only one that has children in that school. This is Nigeria. This is not where you would, children need to be independent. Like some people say, it's part of, being independent and all that. But I didn't know it was even going to do what I wouldn't even have done. After speaking with me, I think an hour, not even up to an hour later, he just drove straight to the school. And he said he wanted to see the child that beat his child, that he will also beat that child and withdraw all his children. We had two in the school that time, and withdraw his children from the school. But of course, the principal didn't show up. They said the principal was in the meeting, and they said the principal was in the meeting, and of course, certainly you can't assess the child when you can't assess the school management. So he eventually left. Now, but of course, he went to the school to display and was like, that child that beats my child, I'm going to also beat the child, and said the child, send my children out, take away my children from this school. So when he did that, in my mind, I was like, this does not solve the problem. In fact, even if he got that child and he did anything to that child, which would have been wrong, what if the child eventually sends his friends after him, which is after our last child, which is a possibility. So I was like, what do I do? So on their visiting day, usually when you go for visiting day, you have your table as a family, you set your table and everybody eats. So we got there, I was the one that went visiting that day. I got there, we set our table, but I went purposely for a table that would take like 6 people. So we were 2 that went from the house, one of the girls staying with us, and myself, then the 2 boys, our boys in the school, that makes 4. So we had 2 extra seats. One was for their college father, and then the other one was supposed to be for the other child, the child that bullied ours. So what I did was I called, when everybody was set, I now asked for the child nicely, for the child that bullied him. So I told their college father to call the child for me. I'm sure the child would have been like, hey, it's going to be in big trouble. So I said, no. But as soon as he came, I said, sit down. And then I was like, oh, this is your brother. Do you know that? He's your brother. He's, he wasn't in Nigeria before. He just got back to Nigeria. They're very good children and all that. Because usually what the problems with bullies is they feel insecure because you have the other people have something that they don't have. So I had to make him comfortable. I had to let him know that there was nothing special about my children, about our children. There was nothing special about them. They're also like him. They could speak the language if they want them to speak that language. And this boy, I just said, just sit down, tell me a lot about yourself. So he started telling me about himself, that he's in so class and all that. I even went to the extent of saying, what do you want to be in future? He said he wants to be a lawyer. And that marked the beginning of the friendship of the family. What I did was I wanted this child to stay on our table, eat with us. So in case he had colleagues that probably could send after our child to beat the child or something, if he calls them, if he calls any one of them and say, please beat that child, they will remind him that when he was eating rice and drinking malt and everything with his family, he didn't call them. So at that stage, they became friends. To the extent that when one of them was ill, this particular boy, he's not that big, but he's taller than them. It was one that helped to carry him from the class to the dormitory. They became that close. So for me, I always tell parents, never make the bully a victim. They need help. Most of them, whatever they are doing is psychological. They are suffering from something. Some of them inferiority complex. Some of them have been bullied before. For some of them, they have there are some that are, we call them sadistic. Those ones, they don't want other people to even have what they have. So it's all from the family, and that is why we need to be very, very careful. We need to watch and check on all those little telltale signs. We shouldn't when we start having, when our children start, when we buy toys for them, they throw the toys away. These are toys. Maybe a child, a girl is holding a doll, and she feels, maybe out of playing, she says, okay, the doll is upsetting, and she flings that doll away. Those are telltale signs that we should nip it in the bud. Either call the child and tell the child, no, this doll is like a child. You must look after your toys properly. You don't fling that toy away. Or maybe a child, when they're like 3 years, you see them sometimes, they start throwing tantrums. We shouldn't allow it. Such children could grow up aggressive children, because they're going to, if they have their way at that age, they are going to just continue like that, and they are going to become problems with the society. In the society, they're going to have poor social skills, and we don't want children who have poor social skills. Another telltale sign is maybe a sibling just does not want the other sibling to have something that he or she has. Such children could grow into sadistic bullies. So I'm going to go into that, the types of bullies, but let me just say the definition of bully, and then we can take it up from there. So what is bullying? Bullying is that deliberate intimidation or persecution of those perceived as weaker. Please note the word perceived. Bullying is that deliberate intimidation or persecution of those perceived as weaker. So it is in the mind of the bully. And that is why you could see somebody as tiny as a very little child, very small. So it's not about the size. Would want to bully somebody that is even twice the size, because in his or her mind, he or she is thinking that that particular person is weaker for any reason whatsoever. Maybe because that one has a larger followership. We're going to talk about bystanders as well. Or maybe because she feels the parents are influential, that the bully's parents are influential over the other one. For any reason, in their own mind, it's a perception. It's just like if I sit now and I see somebody that is always quiet in one corner, and I start thinking, oh, because that person is quiet in that corner, then I could get on that person or make fun of that person, or just, make the person uncomfortable. Like I said again, bullying is that deliberate intimidation or persecution of anyone perceived as weaker. So it's a perception, deliberate intimidation or persecution of those perceived as weaker. It could be for any reason that sets the victim apart. We talk about, I always talk about left-handers, because I also went through this at some point. If you're left-handed, people could just think that you're different, and as such, you could be picked on. Or somebody, like I said about the baby of the family, it was as at that time, they just got back from Europe, and he's dark, he was chubby, he had the accent. So those things set him apart. And because of that, the other child picked on him. But we had to get that insecurity of the other child and make him more comfortable with our son. Now, I haven't talked about the definition of bullies. I can see there's yes, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this, the schools in Nigeria. We're going to talk about the questions later. We're going to answer it. Now, like I always say, bullies, regardless of their background, fall into at least one of these categories. And even the categories that we're going to talk about, we'll find out that they still need to be helped from home. Irrespective of the categories they find themselves, they are still, I still call them homegrown bullies. Now, homegrown bullies, he or she carries or comes from a dysfunctional home. This is a typical definition of an homegrown bully. Comes from a dysfunctional home where he or she was bullied and learned the bullying behavior while believing that physical attack is the only form of control. So some bullies that come from homes where they are controlled themselves, they don't have any other way of interacting with other people than to control them. I mean, we give examples of children that are left from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. or till 9 p.m. We in the hands of house helps. We don't know how the house helps control them. And these children are going to believe that is the way they should also behave to other people. Or in the home where parents don't talk to children, at every little thing, the children, rather than understanding that child, they are beating the child. Like we always say, you don't give what you don't have. So such children are likely to also bully other people because that's the only thing they know. They don't know about having a discussion, having a conversation with another person. Now, we have the anxious bullies. Again, he or she suffers from low self-esteem, deep insecurity, and emotional distress due to his or her life circumstances and experiences. Hence, he or she therefore bullies to gain confidence and status. Like I said, when people have low self-esteem of themselves, they become anxious. They don't even know. They don't know themselves that they are anxious. A lot of them don't know. They just feel they're just doing what they need to do. But that low self-esteem, one them, it's like something that is gearing them up to be like another person. And in the process of trying to be like another person, they want to put down other people so that they can climb up. Now, the sadistic bully, like I said, he or she has very high self-esteem and a history of intensely aggressive behavior while showing little or no sympathy, remorse, or guilt towards victims and bullies. And they bully because they enjoy causing pain on others. These are sadistic bullies. They have very high self-esteem of themselves. These are the ones that will not even want other people to have what they have. Most of them have intensely aggressive behaviors, which they must have started as children, throwing tantrums, unchecked tantrums. They lack empathy. They don't, those type would eventually become cultists because they don't even want to know how other people are feeling. Now, the reactive bully, that's why, I mean, if you look at all this, we'll know that bullies, they also need to be helped. That's just it. Reactive bullies, he or she is intensely hurting by something such as a family crisis and lashes out at others as they cry for help. They don't know also, they do it unconsciously. I recall when we were growing up, I mean, if my big sister was scolded, maybe for something she did to me or did to somebody, I remember my mom would always say, don't go near her, don't go near her. Because if you go near her at that time, she's just going to pounce on you. But this is, at that stage, parents also need to help come in there. And that, I remember my mom would always say, don't touch anybody. It's just a way of helping the child to have to control his or her emotions. Because you were beaten or you're hurting by something does not mean that you should now get it on another person. Try to deal with it with yourself. Anger management, manage it and try yourself to overcome it. You must separate issues. That's what the parents must always help children with. Help them to separate issues. Not that because you beat you beat them because they did something wrong, then they are now getting on other children. You must call them to say, sit down there and relax, calm down. If it means telling that person to come and stay with you in the sitting room, they must be able to separate issues. They must be able to control their emotions. Now, because they will always, people will always hurt them. There's nobody that doesn't get hurt. Every day we all get hurt. But we won't say because of that, we'll go out and start lashing at people or beating other people. A lot of people will be arrested. Some people will even might be maimed doing that outside. So if we could control our emotions, then we should have to tell our children as well. If you're beaten for some reasons, if you're hurting, let's talk about it. Or you calm down if you have to calm down. Not that you now start getting on your siblings. We must nip that in the bud. We shouldn't allow that to happen. Another type of bullying is underachieving bullies. These ones are the ones struggling academically, and they seek status by bullying others. I don't know if we have experienced that before or seen children who have done that before. Some of them are doing poorly in school, but they don't want people to see them as underachieving. So rather, they now become bullies, trying to gain status. That's when they will now start forming their own group. In those days, when we were in the universities, there are some people who were calling SUB people. You understand? So such child knows that he or she is underachieving academically. But rather than trying to help him or herself, we now start forming gangs. And then they'll start terrorizing other people that are doing well. Or they might even try to bring them down, spread rumor about them, and all that. And the last one is bully victim. Bully victim is a child who has been bullied before. In secondary school, this happens a lot. And sometimes I always tell parents that, please, this is not a show of strength and it's not a show of independence. We need children who are balanced socially, with good social skills. In those days when people get into Form 1, they will be bullied. Oh, carry buckets. Some of them will be beaten. Some of them will be told to kneel down, to stoop down, to do this and that. When they too get to senior classes, they are going to do the same thing. They are likely to do the same thing to the junior ones, because that's what they know. And that's what they think is right. And that's why all these bullying workshops, we do it in 3 forms. When we are going on the workshop, we take GSS 1 to 3 separately, because we need to empower them. We need to let them know that some of these things they do to them is not acceptable. They are not acceptable. In those days, when we were in school, they would call it fagging, service to senior and all that. Those things are not acceptable. A child cannot be sleeping or prep time, and then you tell the child to go and fetch water. I recall when I was in the secondary school, I think in those days we used to go with iron buckets, and I think my size was size 12. Sometimes when the seniors call me and say, go and fetch water for me, and they give me a bigger size, I tell them, no, my parents gave me size 12. If you can't give me anything that is size 12, I'm not taking. At the end of the day, they will say, oh, that rude girl. Because for me, I will tell you what I can take and I will tell you what I will not take. So we want to empower. So when we do these workshops, we try to empower the younger ones by letting them know what to do, and letting them know that anything that inconveniences them and could bring harm to them is bullying. They should tell their teachers. We also hold workshops for SS1 to SS3, because at that stage, they are the senior ones. And because some of them, they grew up they were in the school where they were also punished and all that. They want to do the same thing to the younger ones, innocently, ignorantly. I tell you, with my experience going to schools, some of those children don't even know that what they are doing, what those things they are doing are wrong. They just think it's a normal thing. After all, they went through it. You tell a child to carry spoon and use the spoon to fill a bucket. Or tell a child to use a spoon to fill a basket. So they will tell you they went through it. So we need to, at that stage, we reform their mind, letting them know that what they are doing is wrong. In fact, I will always tell them a poem that my mom taught me when we were younger to help us with empathy. My mom would say, turn your leg to the right side. Do not step on that ant. The ant that you did not create, it's your God that created it. As young children, the moment she tells us, it's like, if you cannot kill an ant, then you won't want to hurt any other person. The ant is the smallest thing that anybody could take advantage of. And when as little children, we were taught, do not even step on the ant, because you did not create that ant. It's kind of helped us with empathy, to be empathetic towards other people. So I use this poem as well for them, to let them know that even they themselves trying to bully these children, they also have effects. That this will be for another day. There are effects of bullying on bullies themselves, psychologically. A lot of them lose their marriages, their friends. They don't even stay in a place of work because they have poor social skills. So now, how do we identify a bullying incident? Most people, even teachers, okay, the other workshops we do for teachers as well, because we realize that even teachers don't even know bullying. A lot of teachers would cross the line between disciplining and they will cross to bullying. So we normally have workshops for teachers as well. And then we have workshops for parents. There was a time we had a workshop for parents, and some parents were just didn't know that they were doing themselves more harm by not being in the life of their children. And that was an eye-opener for them. So we have for JSS1 to JSS3 to empower them, let them know what bullying is about, and let them know when they are bullied. The next one is SS1 to SS3 to empower, to bring empathy into them. Let them know that what they think they're just doing for fun is hurting another child that could be on a long-term basis. There was one, I told a school a story of a student who was bullying another one, a younger student. And my mom, who was a teacher at that time, told the student that don't be mean on this junior one. You don't know where you're going to get married. As if you knew what she was saying. At the end of the day, this senior eventually got married into the house of the junior. So she fell into her hands big time. There are some that even become the bosses later. A junior today does not mean that the person will be junior forever. They could find out that junior becomes their boss. And if they maltreated that person, it could be the time to get back at them too. So these are little things we try to tell them. We speak to their conscience. Let them even speak to us as well. Let them tell us what they know about caring for another person. A lot of them don't even know it. They don't know they should care for the younger ones. And then the teachers will also do that, and then the parents. So there are three things that we always need to look at in any incident of bullying. And that will help us to not to cross the line. The first thing is, was the incident, was the perpetrator, was it deliberate doing whatever he or she did? Was it deliberate? Was it intentional? Was it for the purpose of intimidating? And that's where we say teachers too should be very careful so that you don't cross the line. Was it deliberate? Was it intentional to do that? Was it for the purpose of intimidating another person? And the third thing to look out for is, will it bring a long-lasting negative effect on the victim? So, was it deliberate? Is it for the purpose of intimidating? If we have to put this down, please let us put it down. Because those three factors help us. Even me, myself, when I go to schools and I have to attend to bullying incidents, those are the three factors I look out for. Was it deliberate? Was it to intimidate? And would it bring about a long-lasting negative effect on the victim? The moment we say yes to those three, that is a bullying incident, and it must be treated as such. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is, like I said, reform the bullies. That is the aim, and that is why we have policies and procedures. Policies and procedures, and I'm going to answer this question now. Please, do schools in Nigeria have child protection and safeguarding policies? Well, I think in 2017, when I started this, and I realized that it was just optional. Some schools have them, some schools don't have them. In fact, most schools don't have them. When you go to schools, they tell them you want to help them with bully prevention workshops. They tell you, no, bullying doesn't happen here. But of course, we know that bullying will exist in any place where human beings interact. I'm sure even in the animal kingdom, if we're able to understand their language, we will know that bullying existed. So for a school to say, no, bullying does not exist here, they're just fooling themselves. And that's why I tell parents, please, every parent present here tonight, it's your duty when you go to your children's school, ask them for their bullying prevention policies. Ask them for their procedures and processes, because the procedures and the processes will help them to identify, number one, if there is a bullying incident, who do they report to? They will have to fill the form. It's an incident. They will have to fill the form. Who do they report to? How do they go about it? Like I said, the aim is not to make the bully the victim. It's to reform the bully. Unfortunately, like we always say, bullying is not criminal anywhere in the world, except the charger. Except it's not criminal anywhere in the world, except it's hurting somebody. The incident eventually hurt somebody or eventually killed somebody, then that would be murder. But it has to be proven. It has to be proven. And that will have to go to the court of law to know if even when they do toxicology tests, they have to prove when, how, who, and all that. At the end of the day, some of these things are not proven. So we don't want our children to fall victims. We need to help them. And the only way we can help them is to be proactive. I was expecting like 100 parents here today, because sometimes things happen, we react in Nigeria. Rather than being proactive, looking at it, it should not happen. That should be our focus. We don't want it to happen. I mean, we go to a school, we don't even know how they live in the dormitory. We don't know, we don't even ask. How many times do the house masters come to your hostel? We don't ask our children. And then when something happens, we all shout, oh, this has happened, oh, God help us, and all that. We are not proactive to know. We should ask the schools where our children are. It's our duty to ask. Do you have bullying prevention policies? Child protection and safeguarding policies. I know that Lagos State signed an executive order on child protection. Yeah, I mean, we schools in Lagos. I mean, Lagos State has itself during His Excellency Ambode's tenure. He signed an executive order on child protection. But you know, it has to be domesticated every state has to domesticate all these things. There was a time I was actually trying to get it to the National Assembly for them to pass something out as an act that will make it compulsory for every school to have those policies. As it stands now, there is no act. So it's just voluntarily. If I like to have a child protection policy, if I like to have an anti-bullying policy, I do it. If I don't, I just let it go until an incident happens, then the school might be closed down. So we really need an act on which these things can be hinged. Without it, people just rely on the police reports, police and the courts at the end of the day, but that is being reactive. I mean, if my children were in a school, I recall even when the children were in the boarding house, by that school standard at that time, you only come for visiting day, you call the child maximum of one, I think once in 2 weeks or so. At my own time, I was calling them like 3 days. Initially, the school didn't like it, but when they saw the output of our children, I'm sure now they'll be asking more parents to know exactly what is going on. When we call, it's not that we want to babysit the children. Sometimes we call, we're speaking with the house master. Because even outside the country, training children in school is a partnership with the school. You're supposed to partner with the school so that the school is not saying something on the north, you are saying something from the south. You should read the guidelines and inculcate those guidelines in the children. Let out the children, these are the rules and regulations. Don't go on the green. On the green means the grasses. If the school say don't go on the grasses, you must tell them from home when you get to school, don't go on the grasses. But in Nigeria, most time we just put our children to school, thinking it's a remand home. They will train them for us there. And unfortunately, even the ratio of students to teachers now it's quite large. They are not following the real ratio. In those days, my dad was a principal, my mom a secondary school teacher. In those days when they were in school, they know everybody. And they were more like parents away from parents. The children saw them as parents. But these days, for so many reasons, we are not living up to those standards again. And that is why parents must take the bull by the horn, and speak for these children. Let us be proactive. Let us be proactive in anything that we do. Let us assess the risk. A child is ill, a school might not even call. But if a parent check on the children, maybe twice or 3 times a week, at some point you will know the child is ill and immediately one will take action. It's not making a child independent by throwing a child in school and we're not seeing the child for 1 month. What if anything happens? Even we as adults, anything could go wrong. The child could be ill. Somebody could have maltreated that child. The child's provision could have been taken away from the child. So as parents, we need to really, really live up to our responsibilities. Assess the risk. When we drop these children in school, try to assess the risk in the hostels where they are. Even if they are day students, try to assess the risk. Is there any risk of anybody, if the child will be coming home by him or herself, is there any risk of anybody harassing the child on the road or something? I mean, I say that parents should be more like vigilantes, 24/7, so that we can nip it in the bud. Now I'm going to talk about the help for how to reform the bullies, first of all, and then how to help the victims. Now, in any incident of bullying, there's always the people that we call the bullies. They are the ones, the perpetrators. They feed on something. They feed on who we call the bystanders. Remember that we said that it's all about their own insecurity. So most time when bullies bully, they want people around them to clap for them in the show of shame that they are exhibiting. So the first thing we must teach our children is, please don't be part of bystanders. If you're older than the bully and you're around there, tell the bully to stop it. If the child is older than the bully, like maybe he's a senior and seeing a junior bullying another junior, tell them to stop it. Don't be part of bystanders that will be laughing and smiling or be watching. No. And if the bully, if it's a senior bullying a junior, and this is a junior that sees the incident, should please quickly run to maybe the housemaster of somebody, rather than staying there and watching film. So we must tell our children not to be bystanders. Bystanders are those people, the audience around, watching the show of shame. I mean, when we even say in hostels that seniors do wrong things to juniors, some juniors are there and they just keep quiet. They should find a way to report to the school authority. At some point, I became the bullying, anti-bullying facilitator in my children's school. So I was facilitating training for the school. And we agreed at some point that in the dormitories, they will not put seniors in the dormitories. So people of the same class stay in the dormitory. If it's junior class, which we know they need some kind of supervision, it's the the juniors themselves that will choose the senior that they want to be in their dormitories. And as such, that eliminated a lot of bullying incidents. Because even if you're chosen, if the junior chooses you, then you see yourself as responsible and a privilege. And such seniors eventually look after the junior. So it was a rule in the school that seniors don't stay in the same hostel as the juniors. And the only senior that stay with them is the senior that they choose by themselves. If they don't choose you, you don't stay there. There was a time they choose a senior who was with them. And I think somebody took the senior's anger that they used to hang clothes. And that senior now told everybody to bring one anger. I got to know about the incident. And I was like, if that senior is looking for anger, he does not have anger from home. It is not the right now to tell somebody stole one, or you lost, according to you, you lost one anger to hang clothes. And then you are now telling 12 students to bring 12 angers, one each. That one has passed losing one anger. So I talked about it, and that senior was taken away from that dormitory. Because I was told, they were in my children's dormitory. It was in my children's dormitory. They told me, I told the school, and they took him away. They brought another person chosen by the student. So these are ways by which we can make sure that bullying does not exist. So like I said, the first thing to do to reform a bully is let us individually tell our children, don't be part of the bystanders. Don't be part of the bystanders in a bullying incident. When you see somebody beating another person, don't just stand there watching film. If the person is your classmate, tell the person to stop. One thing with bullies is when you check them, they stop, because most of them have low self-esteem of themselves. So when you tell them stop that, you see they will stop almost immediately. But if it's a junior, because you don't want to also be added to it, just run to the junior student should run to a housemaster, and that is why school needs to put policies in place, processes and procedures. Run to the housemaster or run to a teacher, run to an adult. Hopefully, we need to also let the adults know that they should follow them immediately when they run to them like that. And this is all what parents should do. We need to put our feet down sometimes to let them know that, look, this are our children. And we owe them the duty of care by assessing the risk and really looking after them. Now, bullying is antisocial, like we all know, and no one likes a bully. So the help for bullies is that we should call them, let them know that what they are doing is wrong. If an incident has led to investigation and all that, and we find out that they are bullies, call them, speak to their conscience, let them know that what they are doing is wrong. They lack empathy. That's the first thing. They can't even say sorry. They don't even know that what they are doing is wrong. So we need to let them know, to admit that what they are doing is wrong. Like when the children were growing up, what I will tell them is, I mean, if they have fights between themselves, the first question I ask is, what you did, is it right or wrong? I don't want to hear stories of, I did this because that is the way bullies do. Or even people in crimes, criminals, when you catch a thief today, we tell you he was hungry. That was why he did it. So parents must also help these children by asking them questions. What you did, is it right or wrong? There's nothing like because. What is right and what is wrong is wrong. Let them know that those things they are doing is wrong. Calling somebody names. Some people think it's joke. They call it faffing around and all that. Calling somebody names, you're hurting the person. Number one, it is deliberate. It's for the purpose of intimidating that person, and it will leave a long-lasting negative effect on that person. I know some homes where they just make them, I mean, just laugh at another person, hurt, which could affect the self-esteem of that child, even in their home. So we should not allow it, even when we see it happening among our children. We shouldn't allow it. I always tell my children that whatever happens in the house, in a small family, you can be sure that worse will happen outside. In the sense that, I mean, your family you're still working with each other in love. People outside they don't have that time. They don't have that emotions for you. So we must let our children know that they should not run any of themselves down, because it starts from there. Laughing at another person, at another child, and maybe intimidating another child, spreading rumor, even in the house. We must nip all these things in the bud. Or picking on another child. Now, so these are ways by which we can help the bullies. Like I said, we need to speak to their conscience. Some of them are also struggling emotionally. In fact, a lot of them, if not all of them, all bullies, they are struggling emotionally. And we need to identify what exactly is wrong with them. It's not a show of strength. to see that another child is just making another child uncomfortable. They are struggling with something within, and we really need to identify it. Is it that the child is not is underachieving in school? Is it that the child has low self-esteem of him or herself, or is it some only child? Those children who are only children in the school, in their families, sometimes they grow up not wanting to share with other people, and they take offense seeing somebody having the same thing as they do. Such children, we need to be very careful and help them. Now, so that is that. I think that's that about the bullies, how to help them. Number one, no bystanders when they are doing their show. We must tell our children, don't stand there and be watching. If you can help, help. If you cannot help, just move away. When they see nobody's watching, they will relax. That shows that they are not popular, because what they want is they want to use their own insecurity to gather strength. And is that their strength that we want to weaken? And that's why we say they need counseling. It's not about counseling them. Now, the other one, empowering the victim. Most of the ways we say is, please, we must teach our children to be confident. We must teach our children to confide in us. We must teach our children to be able to speak to us. I once went to a school when they said there was a child who wanted to see his dad. And this child has been struggling for over 2 weeks to see the dad. They live in the same house. But the only thing is that the dad was coming home late, maybe around 2 o'clock. So what we now agreed was that he will put his alarm on. And in that house, they only communicate by intercom. That's another thing. So this child put the alarm on. By 2 o'clock, called the dad, and the dad picked up his intercom, and he said, "Dad, I have something to discuss with you." Unfortunately, the dad gave him an appointment for like 3 or 4 days' time. It was on Tuesday, and the appointment the dad in the same house gave him was Saturday. Okay, Saturday we'll talk about it. Firstly, they are communicating through intercom, which means they might not even see each other. So we need to give our children, we need to help them with their confidence. We need to build the confidence in them. My dad did an autobiography of himself, and he said when he was younger, and I think I picked from that autobiography even before then, because he had always said it in the house, because he was with his grandma. And he said each time there was an incident at school, his grandma would follow him to school, tie a wrapper, and say, "Don't do this to my child." When our children know that when they look behind them, when they look at their back, behind them they see us, when they are confident that we will be there for them, this will help them to be able to speak to us more. But when they are not even sure when they call us or they tell us what they are going through in school, we will listen to them. Then we're not helping them. We're not building their self-confidence. And that is how we might not even know until some things will go wrong. So please, as parents, we must, as much as possible, be in our children's school, be in their life, be in their education. It's two-way partnership. Parents, school. The school cannot be driving north, parents are driving south. Or parents driving south, school is driving north. There must be a synergy between the parents and the school. Another way to help the victims, like I said, is first of all, they have to have that strength to speak out. Speak out is the most important thing. Now, most bullies do what they do because they know that the victims will not talk. That's why even when we're in the secondary school in those days, those children that were troublesome, you hardly see people bully them because they know they will speak out. But the ones that are usually very quiet, that they think they will not talk, those are the ones, like I said again, it's a perception in the mind of the bully. The bully would have studied that person, the victim. Okay, if I want to introduce this one to lesbianism, for instance, is she the type that would shout? I went to a girls' school, so I know all these things happen in girls' schools, for instance. So it's like, okay, if I want to introduce this one to lesbianism, is she the type that will shout and let the whole world know that I want to do this, or is she the type that will keep quiet? Bullies are usually very subtle in their ways. Sometimes they come with an attack, just like that, or sometimes they do it from steps to step. They don't just start once. Quietly, they will start from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3. So please, we must teach our children to speak out at the first instance that they feel being bullied. Again, they need to even understand what bullying is. So telling a child to use spoon to fetch water into a bucket, some schools take it as the norm. But when they know that it is not the norm, such students will also say no when they send them on such errands. And of course, they too will not do the same for other children when they get to secondary school. So like I said, we're just going to limit ourselves to the 3 topics, which is the definition of bullying we've done, how to help the bullies, and how to empower the victims. That is why I said we need to speak with parents. I mean, it's quite unfortunate, the incident that happened in Dowen school. It broke my heart. And I mean, each time I keep saying this could have been prevented. Because coincidentally, I was in Dowen in 2018 for the bullying prevention workshop. And I met with their vice principal, Mr. Luchesi. He told me he was going to speak with the owners of the school. I called him like 30 times, but he kept dribbling me and all that. So I just left it. Now I felt very, very guilty when it happened. I was like, maybe I could have pressed further to make sure that they have the bullying prevention program, I mean, workshops. Again, like I said, most schools, but now parents need to tell them that it happens. Most schools, when you ask them, where is the anti-bullying policy? They will say they don't have, because bullying does not exist in their school. It is a lie. Bullying exists everywhere there are human beings interacting. Even in families, if you don't nip it in the bud, you will have bullies among the children. For one reason or the other, either out of insecurity or low self-esteem or high self-esteem or whatever. So a school that tells you, no, it does not happen, please just take your child away from that school, because that shows negligence on their part. In other climes, you have it's compulsory to have anti-bullying policies and procedures in place. But in Nigeria, like I said, we don't even have the legislature to back it up. So schools just do. If I like, I will do. I will have. If I don't like, I will not put it in place. That's what schools do in Nigeria. But parents, knowing that we don't have the legislature yet, let parents now do the needful. Take the bull by the horn. Be the one to ask. If you're the only parent saving 500 other parents, do it. I did it when my children were in school. Do it. And like I always say, please, we should not mix independence with not checking on our children. If you check on your child, it's not that you're babysitting the child. Checking on the child, you can even speak with the housemaster, say, how is my child behaving in school? The housemaster will be happy to give you a feedback. You can speak with their child without them. I mean, you're speaking with your child and it's like, let me speak with your friend. And then you try to assess the kind of friends they have. What's your name? How old are you? What do you want to become? Like that, you can have an idea of who your children's friends are. We must be close to them to know exactly what they are doing at that age. So I think we're going to stop here to take questions and comments, please. So parents, please ask questions. If there's something you want us to help with, this is a free session. Please go ahead and ask. Do we have parents who want to ask questions, please? Sorry, I hope you can hear me. Do we have questions? I've answered the questions on the chat that was directed, that was sent to me directly. We don't have policy. We don't have any act to put the policies, the child protection. Like I said, Lagos State, I know for sure, has child protection executive order that was signed in 2016 December. That's I know about Lagos State. So please, do we want to ask questions? I'm here at your service. Please unmute. Anyone with questions, please unmute. Or comments, please. Mr. Rico, are you still there? Mr. Rico?
Yes, ma'am. See here, ma'am.
Okay, do you have questions or comments?
No, I thank you very much. I think this is a very interesting session.
Thank you.
The comment I have is you already addressed the issue about the lack of a legal framework upon which to pinch the policies. But I think one of the things that could actually bring about anti-bullying would be, like you mentioned, ask the school, for us as parents to ask schools about their anti-bullying policies or child protection and safeguarding policies. So if a school doesn't have that and just hide under the umbrella, no, that doesn't happen here. That means they're actually in denial and don't know that it happens behind the scene and they are not aware of it. Because a school that puts up a policy, then the school is ready to deal with it, and you can see clearly what is provided in it on how to prevent bullying from happening. It's not just about bullying. There are other social vices that happen in school, and how does the school deal with those? So I would support that parents should actually ask schools about these policies. If the policies are not in place, then you know that the school is just in denial. That's my point of view. Thank you so much for this time, and
thank you,
you are doing
Mr.
already. Yeah.
So like we said, ask the school for their policies. And most schools with their policies, we also have the procedures, processes and procedure. So most schools with their policies will have processes and procedures in place. Now I can see somebody raising his hand, Cyprian. His hand, Cyprian. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, wonderful. I really have been following your teaching and instructions. and
Thank
it's
you.
quite amazing.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot. But there's something you said about the bullying, managing them.
Yeah.
About trying to talk to them, talk sense to them that they probably didn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I want to look at that as to be the first level engagement.
No.
Okay. What happens after you have tried to talk sense into them, and they still refused and they still continue, because it's a possibility.
Yeah, it is a possibility
That they know what they are doing, and they derive joy.
Joy,
in causing pain.
in hurting other people.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
that
So
is why we say the school should have processes and procedures. We have a template that we use for people. I actually used it for Premier Academy. I gave them the copy in Premier Academy in Abuja because I was there at some point to teach, to facilitate for the teachers. So if the school if they have their policy, their policy is separate. Processes and procedures, it's another part on its own. The processes and the procedures will identify, it will talk about what bullying is about. It will tell you about the processes to follow and how to handle bullying. So when you report to, maybe you are supposed, if it happened in the dormitory, you're supposed to report to the housemaster. The housemaster will fill an incident report form. In that incident report form, there are some things they will tick. Okay, on so and so date, this person was beaten. You will ask both of them questions, both the bully and the bully, separately. When you do those investigations and any other person that was around them, everything is documented. Then the procedure, the part of the procedures will be, okay, if this is the output, this will be the discipline that we will give the child. If the child has to be suspended, but even before the child is suspended, you call the parents. It's part of the procedures. You call the parents, this is what has happened. Sorry, we have to suspend your child because it's against the school rules and regulation. But we want you to help us to work on the child while the child is on suspension. So the policy is separate. The processes and the procedures, they are another it's a different document on its own. And you know what? One good thing about the policies and procedures, the processes and procedures form is that it helps you to give the same punishment. You can always bring it out, it's documented. So Kemi slapped Ade today. We talked to Kemi and this is the punishment that we gave out. Ada slapped Ngozi tomorrow. You're not giving a different punishment. You're not biased. You're not looking at the social status of the other child, and they will all be documented. The problem we have in Nigeria is that we don't like documenting things. If there is an incident, every incident must go into the incident report form. It's part of the pack. So when you have the incident report form, okay, this is what happened. There are some questions you ask. They're already in that pack. We have it. Oh, this you tick, this you tick, this you tick. And then you know the next step to take. Because already a process and procedure. So there is you're not going to be subjective. Everything will be documented and you're going to be objective in your conclusion. Because at the end of the day, it's not only one person as a teacher that will handle it. It will go from housemaster to guidance and counseling teacher to the school authority and all that. That is why we call it the processes and procedures. But most time people don't have processes in place, and that is where we have problems. They don't have procedures. So even if there's an incident of bullying, the students don't even know who to go to. If it happens in class, who do you report to? Is it the class prefect who will now tell the teacher? And then teacher tell the proprietor or whatever. If it happens in the hostel, is it the housemaster or supervisor in the dormitory? You first tell. Everything must be documented. We must also, they have supervisors in school, in dormitories. That's part of their responsibilities. We must also start teaching these children to be responsible, to document things. So if a supervisor is a student, must be responsible to say, oh, if a junior reports to you, like I said in my parents' school that time, it was all junior in the same dormitory, but they have a supervisor who was a senior student that they chose by themselves. So if there's a bullying incident, that supervisor is supposed to document it for the next day, because of course, school, most time in the dormitories in the night, school has not, until the next day before you see the teachers and all that. Of course, that child would pass it on to the housemaster that night, document it and pass it to the housemaster that night. The housemaster will now discuss it with the school in the morning. So the policy aside, processes and procedures, like I said, we have those parts, and then we'll be happy to work with schools that want those processes and procedures. We also train them on how to use them, because they have to fill sets of questions, how to analyze those questions, how to get to the conclusion of whether it was even a bullying incident or not, and how to help the bully, to counsel the bully. At a stage, if you have to even, like I said, even if at the end of the investigation, the bully has to be suspended, the bully will be suspended. Oh, sorry, your child did this. We are suspending your child, but please, we want you to help us from home. And a good parent, in fact, the child, the way the parent will be looking at the child that day, the child knows that he or she is in for it at home that time. So there must be parent-school partnership. And that's why I said, not the school going north, the parents are going south. I hope I've been able to answer your question, sir.
Yes, you have. I just had one more comment to make. That really this should be part of admission when a child is being admitted into a school. It should this bullying policy, it should be part of what the parents should sign off.
Yeah.
Okay. And then because some parents, when bullying takes place, they may now begin to fight the school.
The school.
Okay, but if they sign this SOP on bullying, then they will be held accountable and responsible.
So, outside the country, when your child is going to school, they give you a pack of rules and regulations. For me, when our children were still young and we were outside the country, when they give us the pack, every time I will read the rules and regulations to them. They know that they must not flout those rules. I will remind them every time. We will all sit together and revise those rules and regulations so that they will refresh their memory again. Every time, that was what we were doing. So parents, like I said, should be able to have these policies. They might not have the procedures and the guidelines because that is the school's property. But they will know that if an incident happens, these are the first call, part of call is what concerns the student and the parents. if they are the student, for instance. So if something happens, who do you report to? If it happens in the hostel, are you reporting to the housemaster first, or are you reporting to the supervisor in the hostel? So I think I saw 2 people raise up their hands again. I hope I was able to answer that. I was able to.
Yes,
I actually agree.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yes.
You did.
I
Excellent.
agree with you. I agree with you that these things must be made accessible to the parent, and that's why we say, please, school will not. They might not have policies because they don't want to lose their clientele. They will tell you in their mind, oh, we don't have bullying in this school, so there's no need for policy. But as a parent, tell them they are wrong, because there are no places where you have human beings interact that there won't be bullying incidents. Even in churches, where you have little children in Sunday schools. Go to, even when we were younger, when I was in primary school, you will see in the toilet, because bullying is, anything that will intimidate somebody. You see them draw sort of things on the wall of the toilet. Ade loves this. This person loves this. So a school that will say it does not happen, then for me, I won't even put my children in such schools. I want to see a school that will say, yes, we have bullies here, but these are the things we're doing. Another thing schools can do, organize workshops. We seem to want to be running away from workshops. Like I said, I expected like 100 parents with the way we all shouted during the Dowen stuff. I expected like 100 parents to be here today. But unfortunately, we are very good at reacting. We're not good at proactively solving problems. Parents, it's our duty. Because if we don't do it, the schools will not. And at the end of the day, they might get away with all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's somebody's child at the end of the day. They will knock it down without technicalities. Like we're saying now, it is no longer murder. They are going to check if it is toxicology. What the results of the toxicology, what the report comes up with. Even if it says, now they say it's septicemia, we know that septicemia is untreated, what's it called? Infection. It could happen from anywhere to anywhere. How do you want to prove that? Even if they eventually pin it down that he was given something to drink, how do we want to know who gave him? When? How? They might even say he took it from the house, that a visitor came to visit they came for visiting day and they gave him something to drink, which was not maybe food poison or something. So please, we don't want to wait. It's somebody's child at the end of the day. We don't want to wait to be losing these children in school. We must proactively work with the school. If they say our own is too much, let them know that carrying these children for 9 months, no be joke. It's our responsibility. We won't wait for them to give. For now, in Nigeria, we don't have the act. So every school do their own. If you have, you like. If you like, you don't have. You understand? So now is the parents to really, really stand up and say, no, not again. Every parent, ask in your child's school, do you have the policy? Like I said, policy is separate too. So policy is just step one. It shows that the school even wants to do something. After policy, we have processes and procedures. Processes and procedures handle the incident. It starts with filling an incident form. And then investigation happens. And it's not a subjective investigation. If you look at we have the pack. If you look at the way our packs are drawn, there is nothing that is subjective. Whatever punishment that A goes through under the same circumstance, we get the same thing, and it is documented. So nobody will come tomorrow and say, oh, you treated my own child unfairly. You bring documents. Everybody will see it. And they will all share it. Even parents will go through that document with them when the result is out. So you speak with the parents, okay, this is what happened. We've documented it. This is what we got. Please, we want your child, sorry, unfortunately has to go for 2-3 weeks. But in the course of the 2-3 weeks, look at you can even photocopy it for them. Let them go home and work with it. As long as it is their own child's form, you're photocopying, not another child's form. And not the victim. If it's the bully, not the victim's form. It's only the one that concerns them. Yeah, sorry, my earpiece just lost battery. So I had to put another one. So I think, okay, Mr. Kadi Ogukwa, good evening, sir, from NOA. I'm glad you are here this evening. Please speak, Mr. Ogukwa.
Good evening, madam. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma. Can I have the floor?
Yes, please. The floor is all yours.
Okay. Let me appreciate Mrs. Undu and our colleagues for their passion to end these ugly incidents in the country.
Thank you, sir.
It has been a very interesting interactive session. It's rewarding. Let me add that on our part in NOA, we're ready to join you to talk to parents and the school. Okay. In addition to that, in line with Chapter 2, Section 33, the agency has collaborated with ICPC to establish integrity club in all the schools in the country. Yeah. We can use that platform to collaborate with you to let them know the policies and the procedures you're talking about. If there's no policy, the procedure. Procedure. From your end, some of these frequently asked questions could be developed for this regular interaction. Yeah. I want to plead with you that we not relent. We must have regular workshops, collaborating with other agencies that can assist. Principal, I know that there are meetings of principals and headmasters. We can take it to them in their meetings. Yeah. Let them cascade this down to their wards in the school. And this will help in no small measure to curb these ugly incidents. We want us to continue to strive. Thank you. Until the synergies are curbed, we shall continue to talk and not relent. Yes, there could be some funny disappointments. As parents must stay strong, stay determined that this must end. Finally, I want to encourage you to continue. Thank you. Let me greet everybody for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ogukwaide. You know, we launched this bullying prevention program with NOA. Yes. The director in Lagos was the one that attended our launch at that time. And I've been speaking, I know how passionate Dr. Barry is about this bullying incident, because each time I have to speak with him, he tells me about what is going on in the country, even gives me statistics. Now, coming to the Integrity Club, I started something in Lagos State, which I call the anti-bullying sheriff.
the idea was to get students themselves to be sheriffs. I mean, to watch over other people. So at that point, we were supposed to, I actually got the approval from the Lagos State, which I'll forward to you later on your WhatsApp, from the Lagos State Ministry of Education to train anti-bullying sheriffs. But of course, because it has to be self-sponsored, they have 6 districts. I was able to, because I was funding it, I didn't get an organization to sponsor me, to sponsor the program. So I was funding it, and I was only able to train 100 teachers in district 6, the Oshodi district. We gave them free of these pamphlets. This one is for the older students, and this one is pictorial for the younger children. It has picture. This for younger children. It has picture in it.
That's nice. Okay.
Yes. So I was able to give the teachers 100 of each of this, but we couldn't just continue because we needed organizations to sponsor us for us to train the other. The idea was that we would train the teachers who were the guidance and counseling teachers. They will in turn now go and pick children, just like this integrity club you talked about. They will in turn pick children from each of the classes who will be the anti-bullying sheriffs. They will now train them on how to identify bullies, how to document bullying incidents and all that, and even organize drama and all that in school. But unfortunately, we only ended at training the teachers as training for trainers. You understand? The guidance and counseling teachers, we trained only 100. We were to train 600, 100 from each of the zones of the district. So we virtually trained only 100. So if we can, what I'm saying this is that we can find a way to also link this up, the Integrity Club.
Yes. Okay.
Now begin to choose anti-bullying sheriffs, those children that will monitor the other children, class by class. That will monitor the other children and will train them on how to identify, and even if they can talk to counsel. It's just like, I was a monitress in my class in primary school, and when my friends are making noise, I write their names. They will not like it. At break time, they will not play with me. I play myself. I don't care. But I will still write their names. They were my best friend. So, for me, we really need a lot of work to do with the children. And I'm glad that like I said, I know that Dr. Abari has always been very passionate about it. There was no time I went to his office and we had to discuss, and he will not tell me, he will not give me statistics of what they are receiving in the states. But it's all budget dependent and all that. But this is now becoming something of national issue. We hope it won't be threatening our security later on. So it has to be nipped in the bud. So I'm glad that, I will always be happy, I will always be happy to work with NOA in bringing this to an end.
Thank you.
Curbing it. We always say you might not be able to really eradicate it, put an end to bullying, but at least we can curb it. And this can be done through awareness program, training, and all that.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome, sir. So do we have any other person, comments, questions? Now we know NOA is here. Please talk to him. Mr. Oguku, I hope he's still there. Is the director admin HR? So
I'm here.
Yes, please, anyone who wants to talk to NOA, this is the time to talk to them. He's here now. He's going to take the report to Dr. Abari, the DG. Do we have anyone who wants to comment or say something? Or maybe even give us more ideas on how to tackle this bullying incident? Do we, in the absence of no other questions, do we bring the Okay,
Sorry.
somebody wants to speak. Okay, Mrs. Folakemi. Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Well done, and thank you for a wonderful session. So, sorry, I missed some part though, but I would like to ask since we have NOA, apart from the club, that's integrity clubs, what are the other forms of awareness that can be created even before the clubs come up? You know, TV, other channels of talking about this bullying issue in schools, to preventions and everything that has to do with bullying before the clubs can comes up. We can do something, create awareness. I don't know. It's just something.
Yes, please, go ahead. Thank you, Mrs. Patoki.
Let me say, the club is established already. The clubs are established. They are there functional. And like Ms. Undu will know, we have offices in all the local government. And at any time, we go to schools to talk with them. I want to say we can expand this by collaborating with this new development with the group, so that ordinarily, you don't give what you don't have. And it's good to know more about what to do. If Mizindu can help us to get some of these frequently asked questions, it will assist those people who's on the field. We are there already talking. And once you know that you know the rules, some of these things will naturally fade off. When your morals are good, when you are patriotic, when you are honest, some of these little things will fade off. And that's why we're saying, yes, that's what I'm saying. The integrity club that is there already, this one will just be an integral part of what you are doing, and will make it easier for us. At the end of the day, we have a good result. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I mean, okay, go ahead, Mrs.
So I think this is particular about Lagos. I'm from Osun State, as in I reside in Osun State, and I don't see that these clubs in our schools functioning. So maybe it's particular to Lagos State. And
some Koko is even in Abuja, it's at the headquarters.
So okay, so maybe it's in Abuja schools, but in Osun State, sincerely, no, I'm just saying they said they are functioning in schools. So, but in Osun State, because my research was even on deviance, and you have antisocial behavior, deviance, all these things connected. And if I tell you the things that I saw on the field in Osun, this thing is not working. So I don't know, maybe the arm of NOA in Osun State, the local government, like you mentioned, if they can come up with these clubs in our state or other things that can be done. We will really appreciate the extension or the focus, not to only be in Abuja and in Lagos and in the cities there. Thank you.
Okay, man. Maybe you need to go back to the school now. I'm assuring that they are in schools now.
Okay. When did you launch this integrity clubs?
2021.
Oh, okay. Because I know when Mrs. Patoki did a PhD, that must have been like 3-4 years.
2021.
Okay. Maybe that's why.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
okay,
madam.
So I mean, I'm glad to even hear that we have these clubs in schools. It just means that we need to raise awareness. Let even parents know that they exist, so that parents too will help us. We really need parents. Like I said, I'm so disappointed that we had just very few parents here tonight. I expected so many parents, the way we were all shouting and screaming and wanting to bring down the walls of Nigeria. But I mean, like I said, we were starting from somewhere, and we would eventually get there, God willing. So if we don't, do we have any questions, comments? If we don't, then we can call it a day. It's been we're almost 2 hours, yes, into this. It's 9 o'clock already. Okay, so if we don't have any further questions, this is actually on YouTube, as we can see. So it's been live streamed on YouTube. We hope that people can just go back and go through the live streamed program, and maybe still learn one or two things from it afterwards. So we just want to thank everybody for being here. Whatever we've learned, please let us share with other parents and let them know that it is their responsibility as it stands now to ask for policy. Policies aside, they must also have the processes and procedures in place. We have those packs in case anyone wants it. Even NOA at some point, maybe we'll be sharing it with you. So thank you very much. Have a very good evening, and God bless everyone. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.